Well, hello everyone, it's lovely to be here. I really needed a break from the cage fighting. You're right, I have retired. I'm actually here in place of my son, who was meant to be performing tonight, but he can't make it, he's got food poisoning. So they couldn't get anyone else at the last minute. I didn't want to let Paul down, so I said I'd do it. I've got a lot of time on my hands since the Samaritans asked me to leave. Now, in case you think I'm not going to be funny, don't worry. I've seen my son's act 3 times now. I'm sure I can remember what he says. And if I get stuck, I've got his notebook. Now, I have to begin by telling you about myself. My name's Sally, and I've been married to Roger for 26 years. Seems longer. Now, I know when you've been with the same person for a while, things can get a little stale in the sex department. But I was still quite upset when Roger said to me the other day, "You are so predictable. Why don't you ever surprise me? Dress up or something." So the next day, when he got home from work, I did surprise him. I was wearing his mother's clothes. He wasn't laughing. I always thought he wanted me to be more like her, you see. But it didn't go down well. I think it was too soon after the funeral. Now, if I'd known that Roger had a heart condition, I probably wouldn't have given up on that first aid course. But the ambulance men, they were amazing. I take my hat off to them. It was Roger's mother's hat, obviously. Now, some of you might think what I did was unkind, but Roger's been doing a number of things recently that really irritate me, like waking up. Having said that, his snoring is horrific, so it's touch and go, which is preferable. I had a surprise myself, though, a couple of days later. I was in the supermarket and I needed to use the loo. And you know what? They've got a condom machine in the ladies at Tesco. I know you're surprised. You thought I shopped at Waitrose, didn't you? Now, my son likes to talk about sex on stage. I find that quite difficult because I can't remember the last time I did it. It was so boring I slept the whole way through. Well, that's not strictly true. I woke up just in time for the beginning of the Bake Off final. You've got to see that live, haven't you? I would rather read a good book than have bad sex. Though I can do both at once. It's a lot easier if you've got a Kindle. I was a late starter sexually. I was 20. That's because I wanted the first one to be special. And he was. He had special requirements. That's it. He could only become aroused if we made love outside. Now, I didn't mind that. I'm quite broad-minded. But we were going out in November. So it wasn't ideal. The one after that, he used to cover me in baby oil while watching videos of Fawlty Towers. And I was fine with that too until he asked me to dress up as Manuel. I thought that was a step too far. My next boyfriend was a masochist, and he begged me to hurt him. So I slept with his best friend. Strangely, he wasn't laughing. He told me that wasn't what he meant, so I tried to think of something else. I waited till he'd videoed the whole of the Japanese Grand Prix, and then just as he sat down to watch it, I told him who'd won. Now, I think another reason I didn't have sex when I was a teenager, because my mother said to me, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, and I'm not too good in the kitchen. But eventually I found out if you go down about 6 inches, it's a lot quicker. More effective, and you don't have to stand up for so long. Now, another thing my mother used to say if she saw an ugly person walking down the road was, well, he can't have what he looks like, but he could stay indoors. She also told me that the best place to meet your life partner was at work, because that's how she met my dad. But then I pointed out that was where Myra Hindley met Ian Brady. And we heard no more about it. Oh, sorry, was that too much? And actually, we shouldn't really be laughing at my mum, because these days she's in a persistent vegetative state. Or as I like to call it, constantly watching Country File. But I suppose that's better than the alternative, being the oldest pole dancer in Spearmint Rhino. I used to hate it when she picked me up from school in her work clothes. But the dads didn't mind, though, except for the ones who recognised her from Stringfellows. Now, it says here, BJ. And when I first saw that and heard my son, I thought it was going to be something about Boris Johnson or bungee jumping. And I was disappointed on both counts. Now, my husband, Roger, he does like the BJ. Now, I'm not too keen, but I will oblige occasionally. Because I find afterwards he's much more willing to clean the oven. Now, I do my best, though, not to overstimulate Roger. And to that end, I only ever serve decaffeinated coffee in the evenings as a precaution. But if I really want to dampen his ardour, I replace his Viagra with laxatives. He'll thank me for it one day. Now, I think it's time to go. What does the last thing say? Anal. Well, you know, I am quite anal. I can't drink coffee out of a mug-marked tea. I won't let Roger in bed with me unless his pyjamas match the duvet cover. And last week I had a panic attack in Sainsbury's because when I got to the checkout, all I had were Tesco's bags. Now, this OCD's been getting me down quite a bit, and it's been bothering my son, or he wouldn't have written it in his notebook, would he? So I'll have to have a word with him about it when I get home. Now, before I go home, I just have to tell you something. Johnny, my son, doesn't actually know that I'm here. I sneaked in his room and grabbed the notebook when he was throwing up in the bathroom. Well, he could have been doing something else, I suppose. And so if you come back next week or next month and he's performing, don't let him know that you saw me here. Let it be our little secret. And, oh my goodness, yes, it's 10:10. I think Roger's finished cleaning the oven by now. Thank you very much. You've been lovely. Thank you.